So, I do want to go over some generic essay prompts with you. Are you excited?
Yes.
Yeah.
So the first three are the literature prompts, and the last three are the language prompts. And this is beautiful that most of you that are in literature on this side and most of you that are in language are on that side.
And there's not
Not purposeful segregation. All right. So literature, juniors, listen to this too because you'll be doing this next year. So if you have a little bit of a heads up, it'll be easier. The first part, your literature poem. For the AP Lit test, there are 3 prompts that you guys know about. Yes.
C.
Now you do.
We haven't really got
know there are
that yet.
messages.
We knew there were 3.
Okay. So of those 3, there will always be a poem or poetic analysis. You will be given a poem that you will be asked to analyze and discuss in your piece. So you might either be asked to write an essay in which you explain the organization of the poem, use concrete detail to discuss, reveal literal and metaphorical meanings, and so forth. It's always going to ask you to dissect what's in the poem and talk about what the poem means and how those elements show you what the poem means. Okay? Essay number 2, dose, will be your prose essay. Okay? So they will give you a passage similar to what you've read in class. Usually it's fairly short. Generally they'll ask you to take that passage and talk about the character development in the piece or the author or narrator's attitude towards the characterization, literary techniques that convey that attitude, those types of things. So the first 2 are analyzing works that you are given. Okay. So those are pretty simple. If you can read and you can highlight and annotate as you read, you can write an essay. Essay number 3 is the fun one that both junior and senior English is helping you to prepare for with all the novels that you read. This is the open-ended question. There's a variety of different types of questions they can ask you about character, setting, development of story, theme, morality of the story, all kinds. You take that question, you choose a novel, you show how that novel answers the question. They give you a list of novels, but do you need to use the novels that are listed? No. But it should be one of literary merit.
Yeah.
Or much safer. However, please, 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 do not be like my lovely friend when I was in AP, and she wrote a beautiful essay showing the Bildungsroman of Jane Eyre and the character of Mr. Rochester. However, she called him Mr. Darcy.
My soul.
So please make sure that you do not mix up your character names. You might know the story, and you might be able to quote evidence, but if you use the wrong name, that could be devastating. Okay, she did not pass the test.
I wonder why.
Ouch. So you want to be very, very careful
No, but
I don't think it was why.
to make sure that you're using the appropriate name of the character. If you don't remember the names of the characters, you might want to choose a different novel, or be vague enough that you can talk about the main character without letting us know that
You don't know who
you
it
don't
is.
know who the main character
I'm pretty
is.
sure it was a guy, but it could have been a fraud.
Best chance,
Definitely could have been a
choose
fraud.
when you know who the name is. Hold on to your colors. Okay?
No
Because
name.
no names on the road.
Yes. So the road would be a good option if you don't remember names. Father, son,
The author, and then
son.
I watched Airbus.
He was probably the.
So that'd be very simple.
As
Alright.
Eli.
So, for an example, Lit kids, turn to the second to last page of your little packet. You have some samples. On the back, you have the sample of that third essay, the open-ended. So this case gives you a quotation talking about who writers I do believe to get the best and most lasting response from readers are the writers who offer a happy ending through moral development by a happy ending. I do not mean more comfort or last-minute rescue from death, which we've all seen novels with. But some kind of spiritual reassessment or moral reconciliation. So choose a novel or play that has that kind of ending, and then identify the spiritual reassessment or moral reconciliation evident in the ending, and explain its significance in the work of the whole. So let's think back. We read The Sun Also Rises this year. Would that be one you could answer this question with? Is there really a huge spiritual reassessment? I mean, if you really had to, you would use it because there's kind of, throughout the novel, he's moralizing, but it wouldn't be the best choice. But instead, would Emma or Jane Eyre, Heart of Darkness, the ones that they give you, their eyes were watching God, you guys read Their Eyes Were Watching God this year?
That was so okay.
What is what's the moralization or the spiritual reevaluation at the end of that novel?
God is always watching.
Wait.
Doesn't need a man. So you can use
Is it
that.
really I'm a strong independent black woman who don't need no man? Is that really the
Yeah.
No, it is
Remember,
much
she
deeper
went
than
through a
that.
couple men. It was just like,
I ain't no man.
No, it's not. It's
That is
no.
It really
100%
isn't.
the moral of the story.
There's more to it than that.
But that's the
No, there isn't.
but
But that is the basic gist.
fun.
Okay.
No, there isn't.
If you turn back a page, you can see the other examples. Hawthorne's The House of Seven Gables, that would be an example of the prose. Analyze it. And turn back one more page, an example of
Moby
the poem.
Dick.
It's from Shakespeare, Henry the Fourth. Nathaniel Hawthorne is an excellent American literature author.
No, he's not. He's horrible.
He
Should have just died.
All right.
Daniel Hawthorne.
Questions, so you can look through this to see the
You're
examples.
great.
All right. Laying of children. Are we ready?
Just sleep there.
You also have 3 essays. Language analysis, which is going to be your rhetorical analysis. What are the rhetorical devices that are used in the piece to either show a distinctive style, the purpose of the writer, whatever the question might be towards. But generally, it's something along those lines. Argument essay, you're going to defend, challenge, or qualify a claim. What's the difference between qualifying and being wishy-washy?
Qualifying is if you address the both sides and you take a stand.
Yes.
And wishy-washy is just like, oh, well, this is true, but so is this, so.
So I don't really know.
Hey, you know what?
The end.
Sometimes people are right, sometimes people are wrong. It happens.
You do need to take a stand if you're going to qualify. Generally, the qualifying is you're stating, this is a good idea, however, it has this flaw. So, this is the better idea. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay? And the synthesis. Now, you told me that you haven't done much with synthesis
done
yet.
anything.
It's actually really easy.
How many of you are were in AP World?
Yeah.
It's like a document-based question.
Oh God.
They give you, it's a DBQ.
Ew.
They give you about 7 sources,
Actually, that's really easy. I like
and of those sources, you read through them,
you didn't have to know
You
anything.
have to take
There's like
and you use evidence from them
Go
to
to
answer
30
the prompt.
Feel free
Generally-
to feel free to spin it in ways that
Sorry.
like make your point right.
Yes.
That's what they
Like,
want you
out
to
of
do with some of it. Like you can take some of it out of context.
You don't want to take it
All
completely out of
out.
context, but you want to take outside information to apply to the sources to prove your point. So use the sources in a way that will assist your point. Generally, your best option is to read the prompt, create your own argument, and then look at the evidence to choose ones that will show your point. So you don't even have to read all of the documents. It's best if you do, but if you're running out of time, then that might be an option, is to just look through, because you only need to use 3 of the 7 sources. Okay?
Don't they also like give you a photo or something?
Yeah.
Sometimes?
Yeah, there's always going to be a visual, whether it's a graph, a chart, or a photo. You need to be able to pick things out of photos. So you two in my history
I
class
love
today,
that one.
just like that chart, can you pick
They look
information
photo.
out of a chart?
Bomb.
And when you do practice,
I wrote
you
one
do that.
India. It's 6 to 7. It really depends on
It's 6 to 7, it really depends on the.
There's
So,
That is the
I
easiest
used it.
and all.
the picture, you have to be good to notice things. Otherwise, it's hard to use visual. But if you do use the visual, that shows that you are a good analyzer. So, you just have to kind of weigh and balance it. What's best? You have some samples in the back here too. I did not give you the full synthesis question. I didn't give you all the sources. But you can see it. There's a piece from Rockefeller, a piece from Yale, a piece from the National Museum of the American Indian, Theobald Handler, and Rockefeller. So they'll give you sources. You'll look through them and answer the question. But again, your main idea is that you should have an argument already that the sources support, rather than using the sources to create your argument, because that takes a little bit longer. Okay? So, any questions? Those are your generic prompt types. If we look through blank heads, this describes your test a little bit more in detail, specifically your essays. And then the next packet, seniors, you should recognize because we went through this last year. The big long one. Juniors, you may or may not have already gotten this one. This, the AP English Language and Composition, what you must know to survive and succeed. If you've not gotten it yet, then this is your lifeline. Okay. Tells you, I won't go through all of it today, but it gives you preparation. You should spend about 15 minutes reading through the prompts and getting ready. And during that time, they don't allow you to write your essays in the booklet. They give you that time to actually prepare and read. So you'll do all your pre-writing in the essay booklet rather than on your essay pages. And then your drafting time, again, I know you're not going to write an actual draft, but this is actual writing and crafting of your basic essay. It just goes through and gives you some different tips and tricks. You have 40 minutes per essay. So take about 5 minutes to plan, about 20-30 minutes to write it, and about 5 minutes to review it at the end. So it just depends on how fast you are. But if you get done with one essay early, go on to the next one. So that you can have more time on one or the other. If you know that the synthesis essay is going to take you longer than 40 minutes, do the other two first, and do that one last with all the extra time you have. Or do it first, so that if it takes you longer, you know you can be faster on the other two.
Are they all equally weighted?
They are all equally weighted. All the essays are equally weighted. So you do not want to
Put
say,
all
oh, I'm
the
going to
other
write
stuff
two
in
really
there.
good ones and not get to the last one. Because 2 9s might give you 18 points, but then with 0 on the last one will not be the same as getting, say, 3 7s. Okay? So you want to make sure that you write all 3 essays, and you give each essay the same amount of attention, but the very nature of the synthesis essay means that it does take a little bit longer to write, because you're using the sources. Okay. Same thing with the senior essays. Really just depends on how fast you are able to analyze a poem, or how fast you are able to analyze that prose piece. Because you have to read the prose piece, again, it's generally going to be the one that takes you the longest amount of time. Because you don't have that built-in time like they do with the juniors. Because it's about as long as your synthesis, or not synthesis, your rhetorical analysis prompt, and you don't have built-in time for that. The junior one has the built-in time because you have to read the 7 or the 6 sources for the synthesis essay. So
do we have a little bit longer on our essays then, kind of?
No, we don't.
it's still 40 minutes per essay.
So no.
So no, you don't have any longer, but you might be faster at writing them.
Because we don't have to take out that time to
No,
read articles.
all that it means is that the junior, the AP Lang test is 15 minutes longer. than the AP Lit test, like the total.
Oh snap, 15 whole minutes.
That's,
long-
yeah.
that's a long time.
But it's without your reach.
My
Trust
time,
me, it
I was
means
brain
everything.
dead after about an hour and a half, and then I had to sit there for like 45 minutes, like, trying to make words.
Okay. But you can look through, and seniors, this even will help you because while the essays are different, the principles are the same. You need to have the arguments, you need to analyze, okay? But I just wanted to give that to you to have a brief overview. Next. I know I'm just throwing stuff at you because I'm assuming that you have already learned it. This is just,
And you're
And you're
capable,
capable
can
of
know a
reading.
lot of information quickly.
okay? So, the next page in the packet, juniors, this might not be beneficial to you this year, but beneficial next year. This is a condensed version of the last 30 years of open lit questions. The types of questions they would have asked. So there are some that will be general, that will say, talk about the significance of a title of a word.
Oh my God.
So the color purple, why is it called the color purple rather than the color pink?
Because purple's royalty. Royalty is happy.
Oh, yeah, I was like,
Happiness is
wait.
what they don't have.
Back in Rome,
Or
they wore
the sun
purple.
also rises.
got it?
Why is it called the sun also
Road.
rises?
Why is the road called the road?
What's a long story?
Why is the road called the road? Because it's all about surety.
Exactly.
It has nothing to do with the fact that they're on a road for the whole time.
No, but you know, it could.
You know, there's question for debate.
I'll just let you read through some of these on your own time. We won't go through all of them. But,
Significance of title.
again, significance title, manipulation of time. What's a novel that you've read that manipulates time?
The time travel, or the time, yeah, the time machine.
Time
Hamlet.
Hamlet.
Hamlet definitely does that. The Time Traveler's Wife, that has been on the test.
Weren't you supposed to read that?
Okay.
The main character is the time travel.
Yeah.
So.
Rush.
Good job. Not the main character.
You're like,
I feel like humans
The ones that are in there the most often, you've got Wuthering Heights, Hamlet, Jane Eyre,
Why do they
Heart of Darkness is a lot in the
Yeah,
middle.
Harry Potter.
Say Harry Potter.
Harry Potter 3, definitely a time
At the
travel.
beginning of the year, it says.
Just saying.
You should,
Enough.
again, you can look, search that online, or she gave you one.
Yeah, she is
Isn't
online.
it, Jordan? You want to
Let's see. Go through. You might have a question about scene. A scene or scenes of violence, what's the significance of that?
We could do that for some also.
Sun also rises, Hamlet.
Bullfighting and the one time Robert Kahn grows
Like
up.
that.
Robert Kahn.
Okay. So there might be a question on scene. It might be about a quote. They might give you a quotation like our sample that I showed you. The spiritual reassessment or moral reconciliation. Uncivilized, free and wild thinking. Pleasure and disquietude.
Wait, what?
All those fun things. So we'll give you a quote
Just throw it at
that asks you to think about a philosophical concept, and then you get to apply it to the novel. Okay? Or the one that's been most frequent lately is characterization. We're going to ask you to discuss the characterization of either one character or a group of characters and how they do it in the novel, how they create that characterization. So conflict, the one that was my year that my friend accidentally wrote about Mr. Darcy instead of Mr. Rochester was the nature of a character's ability. What did I write about? Honestly, don't remember.
did she just walk out that
It was
part?
so, I'm pretty sure I wrote about Jane Eyre because that was what we had read most recently, but I can't remember. It was so long ago. All right. But, all right, next page.
Seriously, it's totally worth
This applies to both of you. Okay. This is your visualization of how to write an essay. First, look at the prompt. Make sure that you deliver the task that they're asking you to do. Do what they want you to do and say what they want you to say. You can break up the song.
I think the text might be important.
Okay. When you're writing, please make sure that you look at the things that they want, whether it's diction tone or character setting, depending on the style of essay. Introduction, always, always, always give the author and the title if you're referring to a work. Restate the task and preview the so what. What does it all mean? Why is this important? What am I going to be telling you, and why is it relevant to the reader? The so what is the significant insight into the human experience. Why does this matter? And this would apply in the Lang to your rhetorical analysis or your argumentation essay. You could even take it into your other one, the synthesis essay. Same thing, analysis of prose, poetry, novel. Same idea. What is the difference then, the big difference between the essays that you write for Lang and the essays you write for Lit? Okay? Yes. The Lit ones are very much more Lit-based. We're looking at the literature, we're looking at the types of characterization or symbolism, all those things. Yes, we look at those in the Lang test, but we're looking at more of a rhetorical standpoint. What does it do for the piece rather than how does it affect the reader? Does that make sense? So it's how you approach the question. And your claim, ta-da. If you do all these things, you should get 9s. So,
You get a 1. You know you did something
it sounds
wrong.
easy, because it is, if you do all the things you're supposed to do.
And Kate's too right about the wrong prompt. Just saying.
How did
Okay.
you do that?
So,
Read the entire thing.
what I want you to do,
I wrote about
in the
elephants.
last little bit,
Or you
is
write your entire essay
pick
in print.
one of these sample prompts
That may not work.
and just outline it.
All right.
If that was your prompt, well, how would you have approached it? How would you write it? Yay!
Huh?
So I want you to just take like 10 minutes, and then we'll talk about how you approach the prompts.
What are we reading?
Right?
Anyone
Any of the ones that you want. The first 3 are the Lit,
Yeah, don't you-
the last 3 are the Lang,
Yeah.
and you guys get to choose whatever you want.